I'm Keetin Marchi here for a Red Carpet Report at the FIDM Museum, celebrating some of the most outstanding costume designs this year on television. I'm here with Nick Verreos, who's the spokesperson for FIDM, and he's actually going to give us an awesome tour of this really, really cool display of all these amazing costumes. How are you doing?
Good. Now you've given me a lot of pressure. She said I have to give an awesome tour.
Awesome tour. Awesome tour. Well, I mean, it's kind of easy because of how gorgeous these costumes are.
Hello. Yeah. It's great. We're here at the FIDM Museum, of course. Now, this is the 10th annual
Oh, wow.
Art
years old.
of Television Costume Design Exhibition. Exactly. It's our 10th anniversary. We've got over 100 costumes, 20 plus shows, and I have to say, even as a fashion designer, I think that we are really living in a golden era of TV.
I would absolutely
And
agree with you.
when you come here and you see the variety of costumes, both period, fantasy, contemporary, I think you see that really is an exemplary example of really outstanding costumes.
So the first thing I want to talk about is Outlanders, like my favorite show right now.
Hi.
So, hi.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about kind of the costumes here and just kind of your impression of them.
Well, I absolutely love this period, the 18th century period. It's gorgeous. And we know the story is about time traveler. And Claire, she's a nurse, World War II, post-World War II, 1945. And in this season, they get to go to Paris, right? And so they have to be in that scene, in the Grand Balls of Paris. And what I love about it is Terry Dressback, the costume designer, she was influenced by Dior and Balenciaga. And so she wanted to think, well, if Claire's coming from the 1940s, she's obviously looking at like 1940s Vogue. And, Christian Dior, 1947, the new look, that was it.
Yes.
And so when she all of a sudden lands in the 18th century Paris, of course in her mind, she's like, I want the new look. Yes. I want the Dior.
She's like, I have the money, make me a dress.
So do it. And so there's a lot of very overt inspiration and homage to Dior and the new look. So you see that in the garments, in the fit, the way that it looks. It might not be exactly period correct, but that's why.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys on the internet, stop. Thank you.
That Dior dress right there, basically, it's just a mirror of the Dior dress.
Hi. Yeah. But the internet goes crazy. It's like, oh my God, that's not period correct. Oh my God, it's like the costume designer, Terry Dressback, says to stop it. It doesn't have to be period correct,
Yeah.
So, but it is one of my favorite looks. I love the whole look of it. It's great. Yeah.
And the men as well in that show, I think. Jamie.
Tartans, Hunka. Those
burning
boots
love.
right there, they were handmade.
Sure.
Do you know also Terry was saying that they couldn't get the actors to walk and get dressed in the trailers. The trailer doors were too small. So when the costumes, and so they were too big to get in the trailers. So they had to somehow devise space on location for the actors, especially the actresses, to get dressed because they couldn't do it in the trailers.
I knew the men first season had to they couldn't do the kilts, they had to lay down to do the kilts.
Right. So now it was time for the women
women had to deal with it.
Exactly.
To be a fly on the wall on that set, I don't even know. Well, let's move over to another one of my favorite period shows that's sadly done now.
Yes, it's the final season. We're done with Downton Abbey. So, of course, we wanted to pay homage to that, the fact that it was the last season. Now, Downton Abbey, I think, and it's nominated for outstanding costumes. I always love the costumes, and the costume designer really wanted them to be accurate.
Yes.
So whereas with Outlander, of course you have to be a little period correct, but not too much.
Yeah.
But with Downton Abbey, the costume designer and her team really wanted to be accurate with everything. So she researched all the lookbooks of the 1920s of all the designers and what the catalogs and what the shapes. She really couldn't play with the shapes and the design. Now, of course, you can't really get 1920s garments. You can't really get 1920s fabrics. So she had to recreate a lot of them. Yeah, which is incredible, and I think she's done an outstanding work. And a lot of times you don't even see the details. In the 1920s, people of that stature, they wore couture clothing that was handmade, hand finished. And so the costume designer hand finished almost everything, even though you nor I would even notice it on TV.
Well, we appreciate it though. We appreciate it.
Yeah, because that's how it was done for those women at that time.
And what's, I think, so incredible about Downton Abbey is it's kind of gone through an entire decade, like the entire series has gone through time, and we've seen fashion change through watching the show.
Yeah, we have. We've seen the hemlines go up. We've seen the when all of a sudden there was the reveal of the ankle, you know, when we come to the 20s and 1925, 1927, and so the women are getting a little more, it's like all of a sudden they're wearing a mini dress, you know, for them. And so I think that, yes, we've seen the transformation. I think also because it was the beginning of women really starting to become into their own. And you see that through fashion. You see the loosening up of fashion. Because you see the contrast, you know.
You see the grandmother.
Thank you. You see the grandma, and she's
still looking like Queen Victoria.
Exactly, exactly. She's still in the past, because that's what happened. Those women dressed from 30, 40 years ago. They still dress that way, right? Whereas the 1920s gals were like, oh, grandma, right? And so they weren't corseted, they weren't boned in. They took off all those inner petticoats off, you know, while the grandma is still there. She's still trying to hold on to it.
She's still a queen, though.
Right.
I will never be mad at the grandma. So we'll move on down.
Yeah.
Let's kind of move between Vinyl and Mercy Street so we can...
Yeah.
Okay. So two very different, obviously, time periods.
Right, there's still time period, there's still period. So here we have more of, you know, Victorian look, right here with Mercy Street. And then we have 1970s, 1973, music industry, you know,
LA.
we love it. LA, New York, you know, and you see the sort of the New York vibe. The costume designer was really influenced by the New York music vibe, and photographs of Patti Smith, you know, and then also like a magazine. There was a magazine called Star, which was made and put out by female groupies.
Really?
Yeah, and so there were photos from the 1970s, and so he got to see how they dressed, how they dressed. So, you know, there was a lot of research done by that, looking at those clothes and going to vintage stores, and also recreating a lot of 1970s dresses, like from Halston, but making sure that they were done correctly. And you have to also understand, you're talking about right before disco. It's like 1973. It's like right around the punk scene, disco, Lou Reed, David Bowie. We have a character who plays David Bowie in the back as well, in that puffy quilted jacket back there. You know, really fun clothing. Yeah, really fun fashions.
Now this is, I mean, again, whenever you deal with this old of stuff, like, you know, a time period that we can't even identify with, like the detail that has to go into this. Yeah,
a lot of detail. Well, first of all, you know, the shape. And here it is PBS, and you do have to be a little more period accurate because they're not time traveling, not like Outlander. So you do have to be a little more correct. So the shapes, these literally could have been taken from a museum. You know, when you see the shapes, but we also see a little bit of dirt, you know, because they're surgeons, they're working in a hospital, so we see blood-stained aprons. I know, so it is kind of creepy. So you see the little blood-stained aprons, and here's a great interesting fact. Back in the day, there weren't straps to hold up the apron, so they would pin them on the garments.
Okay, I've always wondered why.
So take a look at that.
Why?
See, look at the pins. So we didn't just pin it because we forgot to something. Yeah, no, because that's how it was done. Yeah, that's how it was done. Is there a reason
why that was done?
To easily remove.
Okay.
So you went into surgery. This, you know, plays a nurse. You went into surgery. You easily just removed your apron, and that was it. That's the way they did it back then. And also notice also the arm guards.
Oh, so those.
Do you see those?
Yeah.
Those are detachable. Those are, you can remove them. Yeah, and you see them on him too. See?
I didn't. I thought those were part of the
no,
actual costume.
no. So when they're performing surgery, you've got the arm guards, and you can just remove them.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so those are the little details. I think what's great about coming to the exhibition is you get educated.
Yes.
You know, and so it's great for non-fashion folk to come to the exhibition, and you get to see the diverse costume community, you know, and that it's not just Marie Antoinette, but then you also have contemporary. And a lot of people think, well, that just looks like they just went to a store, you know, like, well, it's a little more difficult than that. You know, I always say that costume designers, they help in telling the story and really fleshing out who the character is. They're making you believe that that person is a secretary because they look it, or that person is vice president or a president because they look it, or that person is an attorney because they look it. Like, it doesn't even, you don't question it.
Well, and I think what's so important about the costume designers is just they create the world. Like
Right.
the detail within the costume, that is kind of the cherry on the top of the world that the entire crew and designers are creating
Right.
for these actors to play in, and that a lot of times gives the actor that final push
Yes.
into who they are.
Oh, definitely. It's so funny because a lot of actors say that the minute when they go into wardrobe, that's when they begin to feel the character and feel who they are, who they're supposed to be. And especially, I think, it's helpful when you're doing a period TV show or a period film, because you really need to get into that corset and not breathe and realize, like, oh, okay.
This is how. This
You know?
is why she might have a stick up her leg.
Like, you know, you get into that character. It really helps you with that. So I think it really is sometimes an underappreciated art, especially in this world. And a lot of times that a lot of the costume designers are the last ones to know what's going on from the writers and the directors, and all of a sudden they have little budget, and because of TV, a lot of times they have such little time.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I was finding out from a little bit of research, Lou Eyrich, the costume designer for American Horror Story, she was saying that Lady Gaga only arrived about 3 days before the first shoot because she was on tour with Tony Bennett. And so they had to go through some quick fittings, honey.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
You did not tell me that.
Yeah, but they did, and they got it done.
That's incredible. Well, speaking of Lou, do you want to move on into and kind of maybe go look at her American Horror costumes? Yes. There's a lot happening here too. Okay, so now we are in front of the American Horror Story Hotel Gaga dress.
Right.
And Lou already gave me the
Countess, of course.
Are you a fan of this show?
I love it. Yeah, I love it. I mean, even though there was a lot of gore, and I'm a big boy. I can take it, but I thought that I could take it. But there are a lot of times that I was like, oh dear. Even, I've seen a lot, but I love the fashions and the style. It was almost like going through a very macabre fashion magazine, and I think it was always such a treat to see Lady Gaga, and see that Hollywood glamour influence. Old Hollywood glamour, I love that influence, the turbans. I mean, she had like 20 outfit changes, per episode. A diva. And Liz Taylor, also great character. Love the caftans at the bar. If I ever become a bartender in my next life, that's how I would dress, like Liz Taylor.
I don't need to be a bartender anytime soon. You know so much about this room. All right, so let's move on, because this is more contemporary stuff over here. Let's talk about Veep.
Oh, of course. One of my favorite shows.
It's amazing.
I am always just dying of laughter. It is such a great show, so well written. It's not a surprise why they always get nominated, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus always wins. Costume designer, this is a neat fact.
Okay.
Do you want a neat fact? I'll give it to you. Okay, here's a neat fact. They've never stated whether she's a Democrat or a Republican. But the costume designer puts Julia Louis-Dreyfus or, Selena Meyer interchanges her in blue and red. So talk about the sort of subtle influence of costuming and fashion that you and I and most anybody else, the construction worker in the New York streets, doesn't even notice. But the fact that the costume designer, along with Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and they purposely said, I want her to switch off in blue and red, and it's their subtle way of like, well, what is she?
I love that.
It's not because she wants to be in. No. It's the costume designer giving you a little bit of a winky with that. So think about that the next time that you watch it. Also, on this season, she started every episode wearing red. And that sort of just became kind of a trend, a look. But it's great. It's very vivid, the colors, the fashion. The costume designer says she was influenced by Michelle Obama. And her style. And how could you not be?
Yes.
When it comes to Selena Meyer and her style. But whereas, like Hillary Clinton, she has her pantsuit. Selena Meyer, she loves her sheath dress. Yeah. It's all about the very fitted sheath dress with
the
Selena.
Powerful femininity.
Yes, yes.
Let's move on down. Okay. Jane the Virgin, which is just fun.
Yeah, Jane the Virgin, love. What we love about in this exhibition here at FIDM Museum is we always want to highlight and showcase an alum and a costume designer who attended FIDM and graduated. So the costume designer for Jane the Virgin is an alum of FIDM's. And so, and much, you know, the fact that I do love the show, I think it's just so fun, so vibrant, and it you know, it does pay an homage to the telenovelas. And so you do see, in terms of fashion and costuming, it is sort of, it's a little cartoony and fun. And you know, over the top, and I think that's because it is part of that DNA of it being a telenovela. So it has to kind of still look like a telenovela, you know?
Yeah, I love the colors. I want to wear that dress.
Yes.
I love looking at watching contemporary shows because I feel like the fashion they bring into it is just so much fun as a viewer to see, okay, what is next?
Right.
You know, if you are interested in fashion, I feel like Jane the Virgin is one of those shows that it gives you kind of those tastes of, oh, I could wear that.
Right.
Where can I find that? And
Right.
you know, so that's what I love about Jane the Virgin. Okay. So the superhero genre is huge in movies and television, and we have some of the amazing costumes here.
Yeah, we do.
We have Marvel Agent Carter, as well as the Heroes Reborn.
Yeah, so it's a big genre. It's very popular. A lot of big fans. I also think it's another way of bringing in people who wouldn't normally come to a fashion exhibition or a costume design exhibition to sort of invite them in this world. And so that's why we like to include kind of like this genre, the superhero genre in here, so we sometimes can get, you know, some of those fans.
And what's so incredible, I feel, about the superhero genre is the inspiration it gives kind of young people to, like with cosplay and stuff, to start designing themselves, to, you know, emanate like what they see on TV. Is there anything kind of you've seen as this genre's kind of exploded with the young people kind of wanting to get into this industry?
I definitely think that there's been an enlightenment with that, with, like you said, with cosplay and you know, Comic-Con and, you know, and just, you know, creating this character of your own. And I think that these superhero shows and that genre has really done a lot for that. I think it's also great, and it's a difficult job for the costume designer, especially for a superhero show, to not make it look too Halloween-y.
Yeah.
And so you've got to still make it look fabulous, refined, fun, and, you know, flashy, all of that, but like not like it came out of a plastic box from a Hollywood costume shop, right?
Exactly.
And that's not easy. So, you know, I bow down, you know, and I especially love the Agent Carter because you're dealing with that period in the 40s and the look and all of that, and it's got to be done well. It's got to be made well, you know, especially when with TV, a lot of details, and we've got HD TV, so costume designers have had to change their whole outlook on fabric, on trims, on sequins, the details with that. So yeah, I love it. I love including this genre here in the exhibition. Yeah, for sure.
I love seeing like the detail of these armor pieces.
Yeah.
You don't realize watching it on TV
you don't
how
see that.
real it is.
Yeah,
like
those all digitally made. And the same, see the digital print. It was all
that's incredible.
Yeah, it's great. It's great work. Yeah.
It's so cool. Are we rolling? Oh, we're still going.
Oh, hey.
Hey.
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. So I think the biggest show in the world right now.
Really? I mean, how can you? I have to tell you that I, as a fashion designer, I really, you know, I mean, I love this whole genre and the sort of fantasy genre, and I think it's really. I would say that I would put this in a category of its own. It's kind of just like couture, like haute couture, you know, costuming. The work that goes into these costumes, I think the costume designers does amazing work. And also, again, telling the narrative and separating who's who and what world you're from. It's so obvious. Look at, you know, they're from the colder world. You see the kind of snow, the effect, all the treatment that goes into the leather and the wools and how it's worn. And, you know, you instantly look at him and you're like, yeah, you're coming from like frozen world. And then you see this, and you see that this is a more warmer climate, the other world. You see the fabrications. It really, I think the costume designer does a great job of separating the kingdoms and all the noble families that live in the kingdoms and who they are and how they represent who they represent. You know, when you talk about the characters in Game of Thrones, the noble families of each world, they're sort of like, how would you say, they're sort of like the Duchess of Windsor, sort of like Kate, Will and Kate.
Them,
yes. And so the rest of their peeps are
like,
looking
yeah.
out to them. I mean, even down to the prostitutes
Yeah.
are looking up at what, you know, what the queens are wearing, right? And so these are fashion plates, you know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think they might be like all dead. Or most of them
I think,
are like.
actually, they're all dead except one.
One, except
she's
one.
Still
yeah,
alive
she's still alive.
She's
yeah.
still alive. So
Sorry,
did you...
I hope that's not a spoiler. I was kind of like, am I gonna give something away? That's why I was trying to be like, I think they're kind of maybe somewhat kind of dead. Yeah, but we have their fashions.
We do. Did you watch the final episode?
No.
You haven't seen it
No,
yet?
I haven't seen it. Can't
Okay.
tell me. Shush.
I don't. I want to talk. I want to talk to you about a dress.
Shush.
Okay. It's
Shush.
fine. I'll just have to interview you
Oh,
again
I think I know which one
you know what dress I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But you have to see the episode
I
to
think
see.
is it with
It's
wearing the
Cersei's
crown?
dress.
Yeah,
Cersei's dress.
Yeah.
Like,
I've seen it. I've
you've
seen the dress.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
Like,
yeah. Outstanding. Yeah.
I thought that was one of the best demonstrations I've ever seen of storytelling, like through costume
With
of
costume.
a character.
I've only seen the photos, and I thought she looked fabulous. I said, you know, there are days when I feel like I should be wearing that dress. You know, every day. Like you know, there are days when you just want to turn to somebody and be like, I want to cut you, and what kind of fashion do I wear to cut people? You know, not physically cut, but you know, like cut. Yeah, thank you, exactly.
He's not a violent person.
No,
Look at how lovely his suit is.
No,
He's bright colors and happy.
love.
Be kind. Well, thank you so much. We've
very
taken so much
much.
of your time, and we're so grateful. You've given us so many tidbits about all these shows. This is so exciting. Let us know how long this is going on and how people can come see it.
It's going on until October 15th, and it's here at the FIDM Museum, and it only opens, it's Tuesday through Saturday, so it's closed Sundays and Mondays, so don't come here on Sunday or Monday, but until October 15th, and the best part is free.
It's free.
Yes.
And if you don't like things that are free, I don't know.
Right.
Just go. You don't deserve to come here.
Yeah, come here, downtown LA, FIDM, the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising Museum.
And also, just while we have you,
Yeah.
if people are interested in maybe attending FIDM,
Yeah.
how can they look into that?
Oh, they can go to fidm.edu, and you get all the information that you want about attending this fabulous college. I attended here, I graduated from here, and I taught here, and I can tell you that fabulous.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Such a pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.
Mwah. Mwah.
Oh, I love that. If you like this video and want to see more, make sure you give me a thumbs up, like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments below maybe who you think is going to win the Emmy this year. Also, if you want any more information about how to attend this event, all that information is below. Thanks for watching Red Carpet Report. I'm Keetin Marchi. See you next time.